Before there were protocols, hearings, or medical language designed to make the impossible sound procedural, there was only a girl. Not a theory, not a case, not a breakthrough. A girl. And by the time her parents were contacted by the Veil Foundation, the school had already done most of the damage.
The first signs did not look dramatic. That was the problem. No seizure, no collapse, no clean moment adults could point to and say, there, that was when it began. At first, she only seemed tired. At dinner, she would sit with a spoon in her hand and forget why it was there. Her mother would call her name, once, then again. And only on the third time would the girl blink and seem to return, as if she had been standing very far away and had to cross some invisible distance to get back into the room. At school, the teachers called it inconsistency, then distraction, then regression. And because the modern classroom is built to move large numbers of ordinary children through the same narrow sequence at the same speed, it had no real vocabulary for a mind that moved too strangely, too quickly, or too deeply for the lesson plan. So it did what such systems always do. It simplified. The work became smaller, slower, more repetitive, more humiliating. Show your work. Do not skip steps. Use the approved method. Stay with the lesson. Do not go beyond instruction. But the girl did not need simplification. She needed challenge. She needed a room large enough to meet the shape of her intelligence. Instead, she was given rehearsal. Again and again, the teachers returned her to the last version of herself they could still manage. When she jumped ahead, they corrected her. When she answered in strange but accurate ways, they treated it as defiance. When she solved problems too fast to explain them line by line, they marked her as careless. When repetition made her stall, they took the stall as proof that she had always been behind. They were not adapting her education to her mind. They were forcing her mind to shrink until it fit their education. And the classmates learned from the adults immediately. Children always do. They watched the teachers interrupt her, restart her, lower her tasks, correct her tone, question her answers, and speak about her as if she were fragile, difficult, or defective. So they followed the cue. They laughed when she answered strangely. They stared when she went silent. They learned that she was the child the room had permission to misunderstand. The school did not merely fail to protect her. It trained the class how to participate in her reduction. A child can survive many things. What is harder to survive is daily instruction in the fact that the room would rather nullify you than adapt to you. At home, her father tried structure. He sat with her at the kitchen table under the yellow light, sharpened pencils, arranged pages, repeated instructions carefully, then more firmly, as if discipline might hold together whatever the school had begun to tear apart. Her mother tried warmth, favored meals, music, quiet company, a hand resting near the child without forcing contact, as if love itself might call her back. Sometimes it almost worked. The girl would laugh at something tiny, a dropped fork, a cat outside the window, a memory drifting unexpectedly through the room. And for 1 second, the parents would look at each other with that terrible expression people wear when hope has become afraid of itself. Then it would close again. She stopped arriving. Not theatrically, not all at once, in increments. She stood in doorways as if waiting for instructions from somewhere no one else could hear. She touched ordinary objects with grave concentration. The edge of a wooden block, the seam of a cushion, the handle of a drawer, as if verifying that matter still existed and had not betrayed her yet. She no longer sang. That was what her mother noticed first with full terror. Not the school reports, not the specialists, not the meetings, the silence. She used to sing. And the doctors, of course, had language. Stress, adjustment disorder, developmental delay, withdrawal, possible trauma, possible neurodivergence, possible medication response, possible time. Always possible, never enough. Every appointment ended with the same polished surrender. Observe her, reduce pressure, give it time. Time. By then, the word had begun to sound obscene. Because what the parents were watching was not struggle. It was erosion. And beneath all of it, there remained a truth no teacher had the courage to see. The girl's mind was still there. There were flashes, strange, fast, precise. Moments when she saw the pattern before the lesson did. Moments when she understood too deeply and could not force her answer back through the approved staircase of steps. Moments when a real educator would have recognized complexity, and the school recognized only disobedience. That is how the wound deepened. Not because she lacked ability, because the system kept punishing the form her ability took. A child learns quickly what the room will tolerate. Do not leap too far. Do not answer too strangely. Do not make the teacher feel slow. Do not think in ways that expose the smallness of the lesson. Do not use what helps you think if others are forbidden to need it. So she began to compress herself. She spoke less, risked less, revealed less. And the institution, seeing the diminished version it had itself produced, wrote down, delay. By the time her father began openly fighting with the school, it was already late. Could they challenge her differently? Could they stop restarting what she clearly grasped in some deeper but unacceptable way? Could they stop confusing compliance with development? The answers were always procedural. We need consistency. We need visible steps. We need to make sure she is ready. Ready for what? For learning or for obedience? The mother stopped talking in meetings. She had begun to hate the choreography of concern. The careful voices, the folded hands, the way adults could sound kind while quietly deciding how small her daughter would be allowed to remain. At home, the girl began forgetting familiar things. A cup she had used for years, a morning habit, a melody, a drawing. Nothing catastrophic alone. That was what made it unbearable. Collapse, when it comes slowly, forces love to watch. Then one evening, the call came. Not from the school, not from a hospital, not from a therapist. An agent. A calm voice. No reassurance. No wasted words. There is a doctor willing to see your daughter. The mother asked first. A psychiatrist? A pause. No. The father's voice hardened. A neurologist? Not exactly. Then what is she? The answer arrived like something foreign placed gently on the table. Dr. Arden Vale, quantum physicist, cognitive scientist, Vale Foundation. The father almost laughed, but the laugh broke before sound. My daughter is disappearing, and you're offering me a physicist? The agent did not defend it. I am offering you the only person who believes your daughter is not failing. That changed the room. Not because it convinced them, because it struck the last place where hope was still alive. The father became angry in the way frightened fathers become angry when language begins to fail. No one cuts into my child's brain because some experimental genius thinks she sees a pattern. But the mother was no longer listening. She was looking down the hallway. Their daughter sat on the floor near her bedroom, touching the edge of a wooden block again and again, with solemn concentration, as if the whole universe had narrowed to proof of contact. She used to sing. And that was the moment the meaning of safety changed. Until then, safety had meant avoiding risk, avoiding the experimental, avoiding the irreversible. Now safety became a different question. How much of her will still be here if we wait? They did not listen to Arden because she was safe. They listened because doing nothing had become more dangerous than the unknown. That was the true beginning. Not ambition, not enhancement, desperation. The school had called the girl delayed. Her classmates had learned to treat her like a public failure. The experts had called her complicated. Arden called her recoverable. And when a child begins to vanish in front of her parents, even danger can begin to look like mercy.
And that is how they came at last to the reception room of the Veil Foundation. Not with confidence, not with trust, but with the exhausted obedience of people who have run out of ordinary doors. They sat beneath the quiet lights. The father bent forward in thought so deep it looked almost like prayer. The mother holding the girl close without seeming to hold her at all, as if even love had learned to move carefully around whatever was happening inside her. No one knew whether Dr. Arden Vale would see them. No one knew whether this had already gone too far. Time in the room changed its nature. It did not pass, it accumulated. The glass walls gave back only dim reflections, and every small sound, the settling of fabric, the faint clink of a glass, the breath of the sleeping child, seemed to arrive from very far away. Then, without announcement, a great cat moved into the room. The parents watched as if hypnotized, too tired to question what now felt almost ceremonial. The animal came to the girl, lowered its head, and touched her only once with its whiskers. Just a touch, light as verification. Then it lifted its amber eyes toward the glass wall, as if something behind it had been recognized and approved. Just as softly, it turned and moved away. A moment later, the hidden speaker came alive. The voice was calm, almost indifferent, and therefore absolute. "Dr. Vale will see you now. Please come through."